everybody, it's Dave here, Holiday for Two. I hope you're having a good day and I hope you have a good week ahead. Today I'm going to be doing a 6-month follow-up review of my EB70s power station. I bought this back in March. I did a 2-month review back in May, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more that I've learned about it since I've been using it all summer long while boondocking. My 6-month review of the EB70s. Let's go.
So someday when my ship comes in, I know just what we'll do. We'll pack our bags and quit our jobs and have a holiday for two. We'll pack our bags and quit our jobs and have a holiday for two.
All right, well, hello everybody. Let's get started on this. I just wanted to do a follow-up review because there were some questions that people wrote in on the channel. A lot of people had questions about the EB70. Well, we took this with us everywhere we went this summer. We boondocked for about a little over 3 weeks. Big Lake, went up to Schnebly Hill, Flagstaff, Mormon Lake, Blue Ridge. And everywhere we camped, we used this all the time. And there's some interesting things that I've learned about it. And I know some of you have probably bought power stations yourself, so you can kind of relate to this. If you are just thinking about getting one of these, right now there are so many of these that are out there right now. It's crazy. There are a few companies that I would say are on the top of the list, like Jackery. I'm looking at my computer over here because I got them up here. The Jackery, the EcoFlow, the Anchor, Bluetti, of course, and there was another one that I saw, DB Power. And some of those units are what I would consider to be at the top of the list. They're high quality. They come with warranties for 2 years. So does Bluetti. There are a lot of companies out there, though. You can find some of these on Amazon. They're going to be a little cheaper. Some of them are going to probably be okay. I'm not going to say that they're bad. Some of the companies that sell these have the strangest names, and they come and go. They last for about a year and then they disappear. I also talked about one that I bought 2 years ago, and Zoom Bros, and I can't even find it now on Amazon. It still works. It works fine. But like I said, there's a lot of these companies that they come up, they sell these for a while, and then they just disappear. So I'm a little leery about some of those. So if you buy one of these, try to stick with the big companies. Back in May, I put a video out of some complaints that I had. Overall, I'm happy with it. I would buy it again in a minute. But there are 3 big things that I posted on the video that were like my wish list items that I wished that they had this. I wish they had that. And I'll kind of go through them real quick. My 3 wish list items, if they ever put out a new one of these, let's say go EB80 or maybe an EB100, or if Bluetti ever comes out with another one, there are 3 things that I wish they would put on the next one. That would be a remote switch so you can turn it on, which incidentally they do have on some of the newer ones. They have one called the EB3A, I think is what it is, EB3A. And it does have the app, so you can download the Bluetti app for your phone. They have an app that you can download for your phone, iPhone or Android, and you can check the power level. You can start it remotely. It's really cool. But unfortunately, they don't have it for the EB70s. Not yet, anyway. But who knows? Maybe in a few months, they might put out a new one. So if that's what you're hoping for, then keep your eyes open on Bluetti and see what the new products come out. Just keep your eyes open on there. I wouldn't be surprised if they put out an update to this in the next 6 months that may have some of those features on it. So the remote control was one thing that I really wanted. I wanted to see the percentage of power, not just blocks. Because if you turn this on, let me show you. If I hit the... If you turn this on, it shows you in blocks, like 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, and so on. It doesn't show you exactly how much power is left on the unit, like 83% or 70%. It would be really nice to have that was one of my wish list items that I had. So I wanted to see the actual percentage of power versus an approximate percentage of power. And of course, my other nitpicky thing was the eco mode. And you can turn it off. It's not too hard. You have to push these two buttons at the same time. You have to push the AC button and the DC button at the same time. And then this will start to flash. Hold it down. And it's not working. See what I mean? Hold it. There it goes. And you'll know that when you did it right when the little 60 hertz light flashes. So you can actually change the power on here for the power output, depending on what country you're in and what appliances you need. I just leave it at 60 because that's what in the United States standard. But then if you want to switch off the eco mode, now it's on. The little light comes up there and it says eco. So switch that. Now it's off. And then if you want to turn everything back to where it was, hold that down and boom. So it's kind of like you can do it. It's not hard, but boy, it would be really nice if they just had one button there that you could turn the eco mode on or off. And then those are little nitpicky things, right? I'm not whining about it. Somebody said I was whining about it. But hey, when you spend, oh my gosh, you know, some of these things are, the new AC 200 Max is $18.99, almost $1,900. This was about $500. Years ago, I bought a cheap gas generator at Cabela's for like $350, and it had a remote start switch. It's like, why can't they put one on? You know, so I'm not being, I guess I'm being nitpicky and not whining, but it's just when you spend that kind of money on something, and you want those kind of things, you just, I think Bluetti and Jackery and a lot of these companies, they do listen to people. They do listen to the consumers, because some of these things they're actually putting on their new units. So that's thumbs up to them. They're listening to people, and it's not that unreasonable. When you're spending this kind of money, you do want certain things, and being able to have the percentage of power, being able to turn eco mode on and off very easily, and being able to get a remote switch. I'm going to show you right now what I did as a workaround. And I was so happy that I figured this out. I went on Amazon and bought a remote control. One day I just thought, I could do this. I bet it'll work. So I bought it's a Tessan, I guess Tessan or Tessan, a remote control outlet. I'll put a link and a picture of it so you can see it on the video. When I get ready to edit this video, I'll put a picture of it so you can see it. But right now on Amazon, you can buy this remote control switch with the remote control for, ready, $15. I was so happy about that. So I bought this. A couple days later it came, so I had to try it out. So I'll show you. I'll just make sure your Bluetti is on AC. You have to make sure you push AC button right there and then plug it in. And I'll tell you why. And now I got my fan plugged in here. Now here's why what I do with the remote switch. And let me just set that down. It'll fall over. I don't want that. So what I do with the Bluetti is I have a little place down below in my motorhome, down in the storage bay, which is under our bed. I have this storage bay area, and I put our chairs and barbecues down there and stuff. But I also have a little place for this. And I drilled a real small hole underneath so I could put the solar power cable from the panel underneath and in through this, so that I could plug the solar panel into this and leave it plugged in all day long when we're camping. And just leave this down there so that if it rains or if we want to go for a ride somewhere, this is all locked up and safe. And if it rains, then I don't have to worry about this being outside somewhere, right? I mean, you see pictures on advertisements where they have these sitting out in the grass and they have all the solar panels in the grass. It's like crazy. It's like that's not real world stuff. You're not. Maybe you do that sometimes, but I don't put my solar panels way out in the grass somewhere, and I don't put this outside, because you don't want to put these in the sun. You want to put these in the shade, and it's even better if I can keep it in the bay, locked up in the bay. So I did that, and then what I do is I plug in my RV plug with a 110 adapter and just leave it plugged in all the time. So that when I get up in the motorhome, maybe in the afternoon, most of the time I just switch it off and let it charge up. And then maybe during the daytime I want to fix something and use the like my rice cooker. And so I turn this on, and there goes my fan. Voila! My fan's running. So I fix rice, or I charge up my laptop, and then when I'm all done and I'm done using the power that I need, then I just switch it off and it goes off. And this stays in the bottom the whole time and keeps charging on with the solar panel. So it's like, yeah, I don't need this to be plugged into the motorhome all the time. I could bring this up and put it inside the RV, but then I'd have to take it outside and just plug the solar panel in. It was just kind of like, it was just so much better to leave this in the bay, plugged in, and not have to worry about it, right? And so it worked great, except for days when we didn't get a lot of sun. And little tip to everybody. One of the questions, let me get to, I'll come back to that in a second. It's funny because I had a bunch of questions that people wrote in, and so I'm going to go through those. The remote switch, that was one of my complaints, but with this little $15 device, that solved my problem. So you can do this, you just have to plug it in where the AC is. Right there, plug it right in there. And it doesn't use any power. One thing is though, when you plug these in, you want to make sure the eco mode is off, because if you plug this in and eco mode is on, guess what's going to happen in 4 hours? It'll shut down, and then you have to go back in and figure out how to turn the eco mode off. So make sure your eco mode is off, and you can tell when you turn this on here, it'll say eco up here, and right now it doesn't, so it doesn't have the eco mode on, so you're fine. If the eco mode is on, then this unit will shut off after about 4 hours. It's a power saving way that they program feature that they put in the Bluetti so that it doesn't run the battery down while you leave it plugged in and forget about it. And so that's really cool. That $15 little device right there, boy, that was so nice. Get up in the morning at 5:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever, and I didn't want to wake up anybody outside, didn't want to turn my generator on. I could make a quick pot of coffee on my with using the Bluetti and my coffee pot that plugged in into the RV plug inside the RV, and then I just had to turn this on from it out inside the RV, and it would run just like it was on shore power. So hey, it worked fine. I could plug my laptop into the plug in the RV, charge up my MacBook, and when I'm done charging it up, turn this back off again. It worked fine, except for days when we didn't get a lot of sun. And that's something, just a little heads up, a little warning for those of you that are planning to use one of these, and maybe you haven't gotten one yet, and you think, oh, I got lots of solar panels on the roof, I should be okay. Well, we had a 200 watt panel on the roof for this, and I have another 60 watt panel that I plug into the RV for the house batteries. So on days when we had plenty of sun, we were in tall cotton. But there were days where the sun was gone. At Big Lake, we were there for a week, and probably 3 or 4 days out of that week we had overcast. And the solar panel was lucky if it was bringing in 70 watts, which I was really surprised. It was a 200 watt panel, but it was overcast, but it was still bringing in 70 watts of power on an overcast day. I thought that was pretty good, but it wasn't enough to top this off. And so there were a couple of days where you want to have a backup plan. And so if you have one of these, make sure that you don't do the mistake that I made, and I left the charger at home. Ugh! I was so mad at myself. The first trip that we went out, I left the charger for this at home, and we had some days where it was overcast and I couldn't get this topped off. When we went out again to Big Lake, I made sure I took the charger with me, because there were a couple days where I had to turn the generator on and run it so it would charge up all the batteries. And while I was doing that, I would charge this up to get it up to 100%. And so make sure you bring your brick, the little charger brick that comes with these, so you can charge this up with your generator if you need to. And so here's a couple of questions. I'm going to run through these and see what some of the questions were. Remote switch, that I got that little $15 remote switch right there, works great. Eco mode, that's not a big deal. You can just turn it off here. I just leave it off all the time. So just remember, push those two buttons together, and then you push the AC button to turn off. You have to push them and hold them, and then push the AC button over here to turn off the eco mode. And it'll show that it's off there. Don't leave it on unless you want this to shut off on you. Noise level. When this is plugged into the bay and plugged into the solar panel, once in a while when we had days with full sun, I would hear the fan kick on here. But it wasn't loud at all. We couldn't even hear it in the motorhome. And so this stayed in the bay. The solar panel would charge this up. There were a few days where it charged it up within 3 hours. And so it was 100% by 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 100%. And so, but on those days when we didn't have a lot of sun, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it was still 50%. I would plug it into the generator and finish it up, run the generator for maybe an hour and a half, and it would charge this up completely. And meanwhile, while I'm running the generator, I made popcorn in the microwave, turned the air on if I needed to, and things like that, just to get comfortable. If I'm going to spend the money on the gas for the generator, I'm going to get some enjoyment out of it. Speaking of air conditioning, there was somebody that wrote in and asked me, will this run my roof air, my AC? And the short answer is no. I could say absolutely no, 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 no way. But no, my roof air on my RV is 13,500 BTUs. And they pull, when they start up, a roof AC will pull about 2,500 to 3,000 watts. This is only rated at 1,400 watts, and I'll explain more about that in just a second, but they're rated at 1,400. 800 watts is really the limit on that. No, this shuts off right away. You turn the AC, you turn the microwave on, this shuts off. Coffee pot. One day I turned on the remote switch and in the morning, and I started my coffee pot, and the next thing I know, it shut off. I'm like, what the heck? And what it is was my refrigerator was on AC. My refrigerator was turned on, so that as soon as this kicked on, the refrigerator thought I was plugged into shore power, and my refrigerator, it's one of those Dometic two-way refrigerators. It was pulling probably 7,500 watts to power up the refrigerator. That on top of this, on top of my battery charger, was trying to charge up my house batteries. It was just too much for this little guy to handle, and he just went boop, he just turned off. So, and I think he probably went a little bit over 800 watts, because my coffee pot is about 625, 640 watts when it comes on, and then it goes down below 600 as it's running, like 580 watts after it starts up. But that initial power up on the coffee pot is like 620, 630 watts. And the air conditioner is the same way. As soon as you kick it on, it's going to pull a big load, probably 2,800 watts or 3,000 watts. And so I would have to run my generator to run the air conditioning. And even then, when I'm running the generator, when I kick on the AC, I can hear the generator kind of groan a little bit and grunt, and then it gets going. But the AC pulls a lot of power. That's one of the biggest draws that you're going to have. So the answer to that is no. I wouldn't even try. They do make one, though. Bluetti is making a new one. I just saw they have the AC200 Max, and it's rated at 6,144 watt hours, and I think it's rated at about surge of about 3,500 watts surge. So the big Bluetti new one that they have now, they even have a 5,000 watt Bluetti. Those can run it. I don't think they would run it for long, because if you've got 4,000 watt hours and your air conditioner pulls 1,800 watts or 1,400 or 1,500 watts after it starts up, you might get a couple hours on that air conditioner with the big ones. But here's the one. Let me get, okay, so those are the things that power. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. 1,400 watts. These are rated at 1,400 watts. My honest opinion is don't believe it. Whenever it went over 800 watts, this thing would shut off. So I really don't see the surge capacity that they talk about. I know Bluetti, that one of the selling points on there, if you look on their website and the specs, it says 1,400 watts surge capacity or surge power. I never saw that. As soon as it went over 800 watts, the little switch kicked it off. And so some of you might see something different. So if you do, then please put a little comment down below that, hey, I was able to get a surge of 1,300 watts. There is a guy on YouTube I watch a lot, Hobotech. If you really want to get some specs on the power of some of these solar power stations, go on to Hobotech and watch him, because he does reviews of all of these, the Jackeries, the Bluettis, the DB Powers, the Anchors, all of those. He takes them and he runs them through the paces. I really like his channel. And he's got all the equipment to test them, more than what I've got. So all I can give you is my real world kind of experience, but he actually gives you the data that's really cool to see. So 1,400 watts surge is what it says, but don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think 800, when you start crossing that line at 800, that's when this is going to shut off pretty fast. In fact, when I kicked this on in the morning and kicked my coffee pot on, it was like in a few seconds it went off. So don't believe that. I don't believe that. Noise, never had an issue with noise with the fan in here and it being in the bay. If it was inside the motorhome, it might have made some noise. It did, but it's not as loud as the brick. The power brick, that thing is like, I don't know, it's like a storm starting up. It's pretty loud, the little power brick, but it does charge it up and it's pumping out 200 watts. But it's got this little fan in that brick that runs in addition to the fan that's in the Bluetti itself. So it does make a lot of noise. And I guess if you were trying to sleep or take a nap somewhere during this time and you're trying to charge it up with that, it could be annoying. And I don't take the charger brick with me unless I'm going to run the generator. And then I put the charging brick, I plug it into an outlet and charge this up while it's in the bay. So it never bothered us. The noise never bothered us. I think that pretty well covers it. So $15 remote switch. Hey, test it. I'll put the link for that. TESSAN. And this is like really, I have to make sure I put this in my motorhome so I don't forget it for our next trip. We're getting ready to plan a trip to going to go up to Prescott again in a few weeks. Take a run up there for Labor Day. So we're going to be up in Prescott for Labor Day for the whole weekend. There's an arts and crafts show going on. Plus we're going to do some, go out to some campgrounds in the area that we didn't get to go to on our last trip to Prescott. My father-in-law, they live up in Prescott, so we visit them while we're up there and have a good time. Hey everybody, I hope you found this helpful. I'm trying in my brain right now to think if there's anything that I forgot. I really like it. I would buy it again, but I'm gonna wait before I get anything else, because with all the new stuff that they're putting in, the new ones, I think I'm gonna wait and see what in the future they do with some of these. I really think that in the next 6 months, I think Bluetti and Jackery and some of these other companies are going to come out with maybe a little bigger unit, maybe a little more power. I don't need the 2,000 watt. I don't need a 5,000 watt, but it would be really nice to have a 1,000 watt that had the percentage maybe the remote start switch. Maybe it would, not be too heavy. So yeah, there's a couple of things that if I see those things come out, I might be interested in replacing this. But for right now, I think that for the next year or two, this is going to be fine. This has the LiPo lithium phosphate the new generation battery. I don't know if it's second or third generation, but it's the new one that has 2,500 cycles. So actually, I could probably get 10 years out of this thing, and I may keep it for 10 years, but eventually replace it with something else. But hang on to this, because this charges up my drones, my phones, my laptop, and I can make rice and coffee on it. So hey, all is good, as they say. I'm not complaining. I just want to get out of Phoenix because it is 105 degrees today and it's humid outside. So that's why I'm in here and not outside. You guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget, please hit like, share, subscribe, and ring that little bell on the side so that you'll be notified when I do a next video on something. And so I hope this was helpful for you. And if you are thinking about buying one of these, then be sure to do your due diligence and look around and look at different ones, because figure out what your needs will be, and hopefully you'll find one to meet your needs. So this is Dave saying have a great day. Catch you later, guys. Safe travels. Be careful out there. Get out and enjoy the great outdoors, because it's beautiful out there.